Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Madmen with a Box Live, where this is the 143rd episode that we've done. I'm Pixel, that's OZChris, and that is Landry Q Walker.
I'm back.
You're back. Welcome back.
Back.
So glad to have you back. And we'll have to go into the weeks that you missed. We really want to hear your opinions, but hopefully the other guys will be able to hop in. But before that, I am going to share one piece of news that we have had. And that is coming the 29th of January, we get 3 new Target novelizations. We don't know what the titles are or what story they're going to be. It's one by Matt Jones, one by Jenny Colgan, and one by Joseph Lidster.
I gotta see how you get jobs on these novelizations. I do Star Wars novelizations. I gotta get some of these Doctor Who novelization jobs.
You should talk to your Disney contacts, see, because
I mean, it is Disney, right? Like, well, is it?
Well,
I don't know.
No, it's really released through Disney, but Disney has a connection. If Disney has a connection, they can connect you. Connect them.
Because I did the novelization for the Kenobi show and a couple other things.
You did?
I did, yeah.
How am I just learning about this?
Because I think contractually I'm not legally allowed to say it, but no one cares, so I'm saying it.
Oh.
I broke my contract. That's fine.
Did it come out?
I don't think that one's has been released. I did that one 2 years ago. I've done a bunch of stuff like that. I did the Pete's Dragon novelization from the last version.
The live action one. I never saw that.
I didn't see it either.
How did you? Okay, all right. Not gonna get into that because we'll get you in more trouble. We have one more piece of news, and this is personal news to share. After this week, for the next 4 weeks,
he's already gone.
He's back. Already gone. OZChris. Chris is leaving to go to Japan.
See ya.
Again. This guy just loves Japan.
And again, during Doctor Who.
That's the weirdest part, Chris. The fact that you're going during the new season.
Yeah.
So we need this to be the opposite of last year. Like, you go away and the episodes suddenly get not suddenly, but they get really, really good. We need this finale to be really, really good. Hi, Joe, the Corallo.
Hey, how's it going?
And
Hello.
This is perfect. I wish Gevain were here for this, but we have an exciting new segment called Catching Up with Landry.
First, though, I do want to say, Pixel, I have now had 2 people in my life reach out to me to say, why are you so hard on Pixel?
What did I miss? What did I miss?
I thought you'd appreciate that validation. So.
Thanks.
I gotta watch the episodes. I gotta get on YouTube.
All right, not me, Landry. We're going to put you right here, and it's called Landry. So we're going to go.
Troopers and stuff.
You have missed. Well, you haven't missed the episodes. You've missed 2 episodes of this.
Yeah, I missed this. That's what I mean. I need to watch the episodes of this.
We're going to go one at a time. Okay. First with The Well.
Okay.
Okay.
I will make this brief. I liked that it was a sequel to Midnight. I liked the Doctor's dread when he realized the issue. This is probably the episode of the series. Maybe, I don't know. It was fine. It was fine. It was one of the better ones.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it well enough. I'm trying to do
Well
a
enough.
little looking at because it was like nothing has really left like oh right, well it's not like previous Doctors like, well, I remember that. I watched it 4 times. I'm like, yeah, I saw it. I moved on. It was fine. It was just exactly what I thought it would be from moment one. Like there was no shock, there was no surprise, there was no real anything to it. Was good. It was fine. It's
Okay.
just not, it's just kind of there, you know. The problem is it's also following up, purposely trying to follow up as a pseudo sequel to a fantastic episode. I mean, Midnight was really good. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to come in and you're going to like, hey, you know what? You know that Midnight episode that was so good? Let's follow that up. You're setting yourself up a little bit because right there, my criticism button is going to be pressed.
I do wonder because you don't watch Unleashed or anything about it, right?
No.
So what happened was the reason why RTD is on it is because most of the episode, the setting and all that, it was started by the other writer of this episode. And then the connections, RTV saw the connections. He's like, this is my planet, isn't it? I think it's my planet. And that's basically how it became a Midnight sequel. It didn't start that way.
It didn't need to be, is the thing. It didn't, and Midnight was so strong. There is a value in letting a story end. This is one of the biggest problems we had, like when you see, you know, like, hey, Alan Moore did Watchmen. You know what? DC wants to do more Watchmen. Watchmen ended, which ironically has the line that nothing ever ends. But either way, stories, a lot of the power in a story comes from the fact that it ends. Lord of the Rings is a perfect example of that. This was fine. It just didn't do anything I wouldn't have expected it to do. What was Mrs. Flood's role in this one? I don't remember.
In the well, she was like one of their captains or like superior officers or something.
Right.
Yep. She was making sure that the Doctor had a vindicator for some reason.
This has gotten into a thing that I did like, that the Doctor, like, I'm not going to put on that safety thing. And like, okay, we should have put on that safety thing. We're all going to really pay for the fact that we didn't put on that safety thing.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. That was nice, actually. I like that. And then lastly, I'm going to say that, let's see, Mercury. Yeah, and then it ends on they didn't really defeat it, which I thought, well, that undermined every sacrifice, every win, every bit. Like it's a cool hook, but it really undermined everything else that had gone before it. So I thought it was fine. I enjoyed watching it. I probably would never watch it again.
Okay. And now we are ready to hear your opinion on Lucky Day.
This is the most I have liked Ruby.
Yep.
Okay.
This is my favorite bit of Ruby. I still was just when you have 8 episodes, it's an 8-episode season, right?
Yep.
It was one thing to do a Doctor-free episode when they're doing like 15-episode seasons or whatever. It's too much. I said this last time they did this last season. It's too much to take. He was in it in the beginning and end a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, I wish I had stronger opinions. I feel like a lot of pressure. You waited for my opinion so long. I got my own little special segment on the show, and I'm like, it was fine. It was all right.
We about to knife each other last.
Yeah. The thing was, like, this last episode, a lot of us really had problems with it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us went into Lucky Day. I think I rated it a
4.
I rated it a 4.
I did not see the twist coming with him being a total ass, but I also thought he was I didn't understand. There was a mechanical problem with this episode. I'm watching going, but he knows. He knows it's all real. He saw the TARDIS as a child. He knows this is all real. He saw the alien. He was marked by, like, he knows. Like, and yet he's playing this game The only thing that made it work a little for me on that end is at the end, you get this kind of suggestion that he's just using it. Yeah, he does know, and he doesn't care that he's telling everyone it's fake. He actually does know it's all real, but he doesn't care. The commentary obviously was super strong. I don't mind that so much in the general sense. I know some people don't like that, but I've never really minded when real world political commentary gets into this sort of thing. Doctor Who, Star Trek, there are places it works. This was one of the places I'm fine with that, but it just was, I don't know, a little and it was I'm a little tired of the let's have another story about toxic white male masculinity. I'm like, I get it. We're all bad. We're bad people. I'm sorry. You know, so it was it was fine. I mean, I'd probably give it a 4.5.
Yeah.
You said it a lot nicer than most of us did, though.
I missed the energy of anger and outrage and hate that all really got to embark in. I really wish I'd been there for that.
Yeah.
I think the thing is I'm kind of dead inside at this point because I have I have no expectations anymore. So at this point I haven't had a Dot and Bubble episode this season. Dot and Bubble gave me brought me up, and then a couple other episodes last season were up in high numbers for me, and then I came crashing down by the finale. Now nothing's brought me back up. All of this has just been like, yeah, it's fine. Nothing's terrible, but nothing's great. I need a Dot and Bubble here. I need something in the modern Doctor Who in this season that gets me excited for the next season, and none of it has. So at this point, I have no passion about it anymore. I'm like, yeah, watch it.
Yeah.
Wonder if I can get it. That's a little bit better.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Sure.
Okay. Now that we've caught up with Landry, hello to not Matt Fish in the chat. Let's go ahead and go into the story in the engine. Chris, do you want to start us off today? It is the final show for a little bit. You might as well.
Sure. And coincidentally,
I got only one who's recording this during the day. I'd like to point out.
Yeah. And coincidentally, fitting with the episode, I got a haircut.
Oh.
And I got out of the barbershop, so. So yes, the story in the engine, written by Inua Elms. I probably mispronounced that. I didn't? Okay, good.
I watched Unleashed for this episode, so I'm pretty sure that's how they pronounce it. He's gone silent. The real world is starting to crash through. He's at a war with reality.
Yeah. I need to sort something out. Can you move on to the next person, please?
Yeah. We'll move. We might as well go ahead. Landry, you've already...
Oh my God, you're going to make me go first. There's a lot of cultural things going on with this one that I have no cultural connection to. And I liked, there's a lot I feel like I didn't connect with because it made it harder to judge this one. I liked the visual effect of the mythological creation, the story engine, all that, whatever. But I just was zoned out for a lot of it. It didn't excite me. I didn't understand the Doctor's visceral reaction to feeling betrayed in the one place he trusted. I didn't even connect with the Doctor being a character who, this is my refuge place. I've shared everything, but I also expect anonymity and privacy. It just, none of it tracked. Maybe if we had seen this before, it kind of would have been great if this had been somewhere we'd seen the Doctor visit 3 or 4 times between things, over the last 2 seasons. I could have connected with it a little better, but it's hard to care about characters the Doctor's so feeling betrayed by that we've never met.
Yeah.
And it's okay, that guy we just found out about is now betrayed you. And how did he betray you? He was forced into a chair that forced him to tell stories, or something bad would be happening to them, and they're all prisoners. And so he's in this horrible situation, and he talked about you. Okay, maybe I missed something, which is entirely possible because I was a little zoned out for this one. But it seemed to me it's hey, cut this guy some slack. He is in a he's in a situation way out of his depth. And so he talked about the one cosmic entity he knows, and he hoped the guy could come and help him. Oh no. So I liked the basic ideas of it, but I also didn't like how quickly it turned around, that the female character was so benign and almost angelic in her. I wanted a little more. It just seemed a little like everyone in the end was redeemed. No one was really a bad guy. The story, the mythology was really interesting to me, especially I have no real connection to a lot of it, though I didn't like when he tries to claim to be the identity of all these different gods, although I liked that turned around to be, not true. And so I found some of it culturally interesting, but like the mythology, I'm really into mythology, and not knowing this though, it just kind of happened. I still didn't get very excited about it.
Yeah. Joe of the Corallos, the story.
Yeah. No, ironically, this is the story this season that cemented to me that this is probably overall one of the more poorly written seasons. There is, similar to like what Landry was saying, by this point last time, I think we had at least one really good story. There's nothing. This whole season kind of sucks. It's not terrible. It's not unwatchable. I would much rather have this than nothing, etc., etc. But oh my god, what are we even doing anymore? Like this story was so boring. And I mean that in like down to, oh, you probably want it. Like the doctor even goes like, yeah, like, it almost seems like a commentary on this season, being like, you wanted a story about Daleks or Ice Warriors or Weeping Angels, but it's more interesting, Belinda. And that seems to be what this season's kind of doing. Like, I wonder if it was like a meta joke in some way. Like, it was weird. Because honestly, he's saying that, and I'm like, no, actually, I would really love the Daleks or the Ice Warriors or the Weeping Angels at some point. Please. Because this ain't it. I find it like because there's also a lot with the cultural aspects. There's a lot to unpack, and there's a lot of very bizarre choices. Like, okay, so he's in, it takes place in, was it Lagos, Nigeria? And it's like, so he identifies with Nigerian culture as the doctor who's been Black for a very small amount of time in his overall life. The Shooty himself is Rwandan, which is like on the opposite end of Africa and a very different culture. So like, if you're trying to make it fit with the actor, that doesn't work. Shooty is not only a queer identifying person himself, but this doctor has leaned more into queerness than any other doctor up till now. I think we can all agree on that.
Leans,
yeah.
Shirley, leans.
Yeah, right. I am trying to be diplomatic because of the people who've come out saying I'm too hard on Pixel. So I'm trying to be more diplomatic this episode.
It's okay to bully. I'll accept it. I'm not gonna listen. It's what makes the show entertaining. It's true.
It's true. Thank you. But so it's like, okay. So he is the most queer doctor we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So he feels the most at home in Nigeria in 2019, where it is still illegal to be gay with a prison sentence of up to 14 years.
Wow, good point.
That's good behavior.
Yeah, that is the country in the entire world where he feels the most comfortable. Like,
yeah, that's some deafness there.
Like, yeah, especially since, like, if you wanted to lean into the fact there's Rwandan, while Rwanda is not great on the issue, it's not a crime. It's just stigmatized socially, which that's a big difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I think, like, for me, that was just like, get the fuck out of here, you know, like, especially coming from Russell, who at least acts on the surface that these are important issues to him that he wants to get out on the screen. And it's like, so you're going to drop the ball as hard as possible on this is very odd to me. The entire supporting cast, for the most part, not very well acted. I don't think they had a lot to work with the script. I think the script doesn't really serve anyone very well this particular episode, but not a single memorable backup sort of character, really. Like, it was kind of shocking that, like, no one really stood out as particularly interesting. And no one had a really interesting story. For a story, for an episode that was supposed to revolve around stories, there was very little in terms of interesting stories that were being shared. It's weird. And then again, we get the doctor. We get this weird, like, I love everyone and I want to save everyone, but also I want to murder people doctor, which we've stumbled onto this weird moral hypocrisy with Shudi's doctor a few times. And this is another example of Shudi sort of being like, to save 7 billion people, I'll sacrifice all of us. And it's like, that's not terribly doctorish of you, Shudi. Like, you know, but I will leave it there as I want other people to have points to bring up too. So.
One thing I want to interject real quick, because you made me think of something to follow up with my opinion earlier, is this episode felt more like it was written by somebody, and I have no idea what their writing background is, but it felt like it was somebody with a background of writing novels.
Yeah,
it felt very much like a novel filmed.
Yeah, plays. That's what it is.
Okay.
I'll wait until I go ahead and go, and I'll bring up these points before I start tearing apart this episode. Gevain.
Well, as a member of the Black delegation, let me smooth out the groundwork of why my fellow human beings, but my much more or less melanated members of the crew struggling with this. So to Landry's point, the problem with this episode is, and I think even Joe's to a certain point, it's forced. And that's what it is. It's forced. And it's way too little time. And I think that's what some of what I've struggled with this season is. It feels like the reason why I've asterisked so many of these is because it feels like they're always half getting the job done. Yeah. And they're not quite getting there all the way. And it feels like to a certain extent that time constraints are playing into this. So to like Andrew's point about being a novelist, because I did look at a couple of other reviews of this. So it turns out that the writer actually writes a lot of plays. So that's why it feels like they're swinging for the fences, but coming up short because of the amount of time and the amount of issues that he's trying to tackle. It comes off very clunky, and I won't say it's not that it's heavy-handed, it's just clunky. So other words. So as Joe was making a point about, you have a very queer doctor who's going to a country where it's like, really, bruh, doesn't feel safe. But that's because if you're taking a very Black American experience and you're superimposing it upon an African country, which is where the barbershop is considered a safe haven for black. Go ahead.
Black British, because he is a British poet. He's
a British poet. Oh no, but I'm talking about even the British poet taking a Black American experience, and superimposing it upon another country where it's like, and my culture here, the barbershop is considered a place where Black men can go, feel like themselves, not have to be accepted, not have to worry about what the people thinking. You can speak your mind freely, no matter how crazy the opinion may be or unaccepted in other circles that you walk in. It is a place that is considered, I hate the phrase, but it is considered a safe space. It's considered a safe space. And the thing is that he's the author, the writer is taking that and superimposing it on a way that giving all of the characteristics of the doctor, it doesn't quite make sense. It doesn't make sense because of the setting it's in and so on and so forth. So then, and I also think to Landry's point, because I thought the same thing when I was watching this, and this is also what I think was, I would say, a missed opportunity with Jodie as well, is that if you're going to do something as quote unquote radical as turn the doctor into a female or turn the doctor into a Black man, do something with it. Do something with it. Sprinkle this with out. The closest we got to this was in Lux, where the cop kind of comes in and the mom is like accusing him of having something to do with it, even though he was trying to help. And it was like, it clearly wasn't a racist thing because the cop had the wrong uniform on and the mom was mad cool with him before and all that. You never really, so in other words, now to go back to the dreaded Rosa. So you never have seen the same kind of interaction with racism on Earth that Ryan did. Then this episode would have made more sense. Or if you even got subtle hints of that in other episodes, if it had been sprinkled throughout the rest of the season or even last season, that he's getting treated a different way because he is a quote unquote Black man, particularly on Earth, then this would make more sense. And the reason why it doesn't make sense is because much like in Star Trek, when you go out to the rest of the galaxy, nobody gives a crap. What do you got to be worried about a Black man flying through space for and going through time and space when you got Romulans and Klingons tearing and Daleks and Cybermen tearing crap up? He's the least of your problems. So I think it's something where someone came into a world, and I think unfortunately didn't do their homework on a number of different levels, and then basically tried to attach. And I think if you had and I have to put this on the showrunner, if you had a showrunner who was thinking about this more, this could have been a more powerful episode. And another thing I did not like about the episode, which is the same thing I didn't like about the first episode, which is I don't like when you sit up there and you tell me something that, let me figure out my own time, but if you're going to make it obvious, don't say a troll on the web. See, I can't. And that is, I think that's fundamentally the problem here, is that it's something with a troll on the web. Really, it's like, really, bro, really. I don't need you to like tap me on the nose like that when it comes to things like that. Especially when I knew it was coming, when you said, yes, I was writing all these stories and they took it and corrupted it and they called it the World Wide Web. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. You shoehorned that in because the only reason you had to shoe that horn in to make your troll of the web bit work later on in the episode. And it's clunky. And then there's the whole thing about where he's going to, like, you have all of these Black Americans throughout American history who have created, invented, been a part of things in this country, have never been properly credited for it. Whether it's the slaves building the buildings and not getting reparations, or Jefferson inventing the peanut, George Washington Carver inventing the peanut, and Jefferson came by his house and stole the recipe and started, all that. He was jamming way too much stuff into a basically 40 to 50 minute episode that at the very least, to do it justice, you would have had to, over the last season and this season, had to have the doctor in a real way feel the difference in going around through time and space as a Black man, as opposed to a white man who basically would fit into any part of science fiction and nobody would blink or think different. Even with Jodie, they just did. Even with Jodie, for Jodie's thing to work in a sense, she would have had to run into people who had always seen the Doctor as somebody who was a male and have a different reaction to that to kind of make the switch interesting. Other than that, it's just okay. So he's got breasts now, and what's different and what's new. In other words, you're not taking advantage of the new status quo, and it's the same thing here. And then when you do it like this, you do it in a way where it just comes off like very, to Landry's point, it's just like you're not terribly invested in it because it's like you're basically doing pantomime, and it's not like you're doing it. It's not like you're. I don't know. It's almost like you're doing blackface on blackface. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird. And
go ahead. No. Something you said. It reminded me of something. It felt. I feel like they need to really invest in this, in the Doctor being black at some point, like to build it, to spend time with it. So because this episode where he's basically he talks about like there's places on Earth now where I can no longer feel comfortable because of the color of my skin. We haven't seen that, which I think is something you were saying. And it starts to feel like they want to tell these stories but not earn them. It starts to feel a little bit, even though it's a black actor, like a bit of blackface with it. Like they need to spend time with it. They need to invest in it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And so if you're gonna do it, so when you do an episode like Rosa, for instance, it's like, the problem with Rosa in a sense is that let's go back to Martha, and like how many episodes did we see where Martha had to necessarily contend with that, with the exception of the one where he was John Smith at one point or something like that. With that 2-part episode where he was at the private school, boarding school.
Human Nature, Family Blood. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like when you take like a Martha or a Bill back in time to like basically the slavery days, it's like, is he saying, okay, look, I'm gonna need you to walk like 3 feet behind me and keep your head down at all times so we don't draw attention to ourselves. They don't do it. So to now, after all this time, just jump into it this way and address it with basically, like Landry said, one single line. And it's like, bro, we haven't seen that at all. And technically, honestly, why would we? You know what I'm saying? Unless you're going to do something like a Rosa episode where literally your goal is to go back and basically say, look, as much as I've changed the universe around like 15 times and I've defeated armadas of like crazy mechanical empires and all that, I'm gonna have to let you people just be racist so we can like, get to just do your thing. And so I think in a lot of ways, and now to speak to the larger thing, is that we have now arrived at episode 6. Mrs. Flood didn't show up, so now I'm getting worried. And
she did.
Oh, she did. I didn't see
in the Belinda flashback story that the Doctor tells. Mrs. Flood walks in. Hello, Belinda. I'm here to pick up my prescription.
Excuse me, I blinked it. but the thing, because even with the fugitive Doctor coming in, and so I read a few things up on that, and people were kind of like going off on how that blew up the continuity of the series by having it in there. So again, if I had to say one word that described this episode, and I'll let Pix and Chris can, it's forced. That's what it is, forced. And the thing is, if anything, this season probably, because I've been given the asterisk because it feels like they're almost getting there. I think that this would have had to been a 16 episode season, all of them 2-parters, to kind of give themselves a little bit more room to breathe. And I say that with hesitation because it could have just been 2 episodes of even more bad writing. It just would have given them more room to not get it right. But I've seen enough in some of these episodes that I think they just needed more room to breathe. But go ahead, Landry. I think you're going to jump in.
I was going to say 2 16-part episodes. And just to comment, like, we did still get Dot and Bubble, which had some very well done, but they didn't try to set it on Earth. And if you can't handle Earth racism well, then maybe just don't deal with it at all. Either do it well or don't do it, because it's an important topic. It's a topic that you need to handle right. And if you can't, then don't. But Dot and Bubble, they did it.
And this is
it's a little. Yeah. I'll say with this one, it's not, because with Rosa, you could go ahead and point to things, and I'm pretty sure that one's written by Chris Chibnall, isn't it? Pretty sure.
No.
No?
He might have co-wrote it, but he was not the no.
Who wrote
It was a black woman wrote it.
Oh, was
Or
it?
co-wrote it anyway.
Mallory. Was it Mallory?
Gevain, what were you going to say? While he looks that up.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, the problem in the problem episode is like to you guys' points is there's a lot of cultural shorthand, and it's like, and if you're not and I'll be honest, on some levels, if you're not an American black man, a lot of what you guys were saying, there were a lot of cultural references to it that didn't work. I understood what he was doing. It's just
Correct.
like, yeah, bro, yeah, it's like, yeah, bro, you're making a lot of assumptions that people would make. And it's not that they're bad assumptions, it's just it gets clunky when you look at it. Because look, I've never been to Lagos, Nigeria. I don't know if they have black barbershops there where that's where they feel the most comfortable at, and things along those lines. But I also know that someone walking in like the doctor and some of the barbershops I go to, nah, bro.
Here's what I'm going to say on that, because I did just look. Yes, Chris Chibnall co-wrote that one with Mallory Blackman. But with this one, this is all Inua Ellams. It's not co-written by RTD or anything. Right. So maybe RTD should have really actually looked at it, because that is one of the biggest things. Like, you go ahead, you have this doctor go into a country that he could be arrested for. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. This episode has so many things that I want to like. Let's play a game. Guess how many times I watched this episode?
4.
Great.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I watched it twice.
One on my own.
I watched it twice too. Yeah.
One time on my own. One time with my mother. One time with my brother. I couldn't get them at the same time. So otherwise it would have been 2 times. This episode has so many problems, and actually my biggest problem isn't that, because I did enjoy that sentiment there where he goes ahead and say, okay, well, it's the first time I've had this body, I'm going to go ahead. I like that. I like a lot of the concepts here.
There's some good concepts,
but the execution is abysmal. When the guy is going ahead, I have been all these figures. I would have preferred him actually go ahead and impersonate all those figures throughout history, then go ahead and claim it, and then, haha, you're not, because I've been with Dionysus. Oh, I've bet with Anansi. I like some vague mentions when it comes to the Doctor actually going with mythology, but to have it one after another is too much for me. It's really too much. Especially when we have now 2 seasons. Since the Giggle, we have had gods. And I have been a big defender of the Devil's Cord and Lux going ahead and having these gods. I even defended Sutek becoming the ultimate god of death. But to have all that, and then you go ahead and have this episode where we're going ahead and talking about other gods, let me ask you something. You have the goal of the barber to travel across the Nexus through space to find the gods? He's going to cut them off where? He's already on the Nexus. What is he cutting? Is there a central hub where all the gods are just sitting in a room, like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Like, where conceptually I understand. Oh, you have a lot of neat concepts. The execution is terrible. I want to like this episode. I can't, because it isn't clear. When the barbershop at the end, they're going ahead and destroying the spider, which is not an actual creature, it's a spaceship. When the barbershop is being destroyed within, at least the space part of it, the spider starts crawling out. Why?
Yeah, I was confused by this.
What's happening there? The best moments of this show, I really did like the Doctor calling out Obo, I believe that's his name, because it's not the fact that he wanted the doctor to help. He was he wanted the doctor to come and take their place. He wanted the doctor to come in, and he was selling him out. And that's where I get you betrayed me. I felt safe here. But then at the end, he goes ahead and he wipes it away. Everything's forgiven. The barber wanted to go ahead and basically undo humanity by killing all the stories he's ever written, which I guess he's written a lot, but we don't actually get a clear identity for this man. He doesn't even know his own name. Like, and if you're going to have that be one of the elements of his character, dig into that. But instead, you have a lot of conceptual fluff, which is really nice, but you gotta put some meat behind it. They forgot that. And I wish RTD had gone over it. Maybe the two of them could have put together a better episode.
But I think the one thing you said about liking the whole line of him feeling betrayed, to Landry's point, to me, that didn't hit as hard because it's like, it's like you're trying to tell me and I think this point has already been made, as old as this dude is, you spent a fraction of that time as a black man, and you really trying to tell me being a black man, look, I'll co-sign this if he wants to. Is that terrible? That basically you spent like what, 200 years as a black man out of like 1,500, and it's like you feel so put upon that the only place you feel safe is a barbershop in Lagos, Nigeria. Really?
Yeah, that.
Come over to my 40 of my shoes, and then we can
I would like to go ahead, and I don't understand because Inoa Elams, he is Nigerian. I went to school in Ireland, and I guess he lives in Great Britain right now. I don't know. It doesn't say that. But the thing he is most well known for is a play called The Barbershop Chronicles. The barbershops and him is something that's close to him. He went to barbershops throughout London and in Africa to go ahead and write that play. So that is something that's why he went ahead and used it for this story. But I still don't get how you can go ahead and have this doctor especially be in a country like that where it's just
well, picked with this doctor, they picked two things: queer and black. And they only have 8 episodes. 16 if you count the last season at this point. But I mean, it's not a lot of time to explore either of these. And let's be fair, they're really barely touching the queer thing or the black thing. And it's like you either make this your story or you don't. These are important issues. These are topics that have a lot of weight behind them that mean things to people. And
it can be creatively mined in a very meaningful way. They're just not making the effort to do it. You know, that's the crime.
So, okay, I'm going to say, this is going to come from my, obviously white guy perspective, but there's something I think I kind of just realize it's not sitting well with me with the way they're handling this, of the doctor feeling oppressed or that he only has certain safe places or whatever. Is I'm reminded of some conversations I had with people, and I grew up in the late 80s as a goth teenager kid in a very not tolerant area that just by the fact that I had long black hair and wore velvety clothes and eyeliner and stuff meant that bottles and rocks thrown at me and lots of slurs and things said. But as I have a lot of friends of a lot of different walks of life, ethnicities and whatnot, and the conversation we always had is like, for all that I got harassed by other people or the police at the time, which were pretty bad in this area, I could have cut my hair. I didn't have to. I had made choices. When you're black, you don't get to wash it off. Amen. This is your everyday. So the doctor comes from this position where he doesn't have to deal with this. He's chosen on some level, one assumes, it seems. And it just rings a little hollow compared to like, okay, you're comparing your plight, your struggle, the prejudice you deal with, but this has not always been your reality and it won't always be your reality. You're just what's that?
It still isn't, because by generation is basically a Chris Rock joke. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like he literally, when he realized he was going to become a black man, said, "Okay, wait a minute. There's a part of me that just can't handle this. So let me."
No, that's terrible. That's the worst.
Hold on. He's like, look, I'm the man. I'm the doctor. I have a TARDIS. I can go anywhere and everywhere at all time and space. And how's the joke? I can do that. And not one of you would trade places with me. Not one of you. And I'm a Time Lord. That's what I did.
Yeah. No, but to that point though, as well, it's like part of what makes dealing with this so difficult as well is a big part of someone being perceived of having a certain background is that it's actually a part of who they are in their culture, and that's not the case with the Doctor at all. The Doctor does not suddenly have the lived-in and generational experience of being black, whether he's Nigerian or identifies Nigerian in this, or like
his in that community. He was never
he wasn't raised in that community. He doesn't have family in that community. He doesn't have friends in that community. So like, which again, like, is more baffling, because what makes a lot more sense than is leaning, like doing something like that, like in terms of where he feels safe, is in a queer space, because that aligns more with this idea of found family. It's not it's not a cultural thing in the sense of like your born family and how you're raised and where you're from. It's people finding each other, and he would certainly probably do better in that sort of space than a barbershop. I mean, come the fuck on, people. But yeah, it's just I don't get it. And also to pigeonhole the writer like that, to be like, you've written a lot about barbershops, right? The barbershop episode of Doctor Who, or however they handled it, is not great.
According to Unleashed, Shooty said that he loved the work of Anua Ellams and told RTD that. Anua Ellams claimed that he sent an Instagram direct message to RTD saying, "Hey, I'm so excited about this," whenever Shooty was announced. And then RTD apparently wrote him back saying, "Yes, I would love you to work on the show." And then that's how it.
That's a bad reason.
It's a bad reason, and it feels like something I've seen a lot of times in comic books, where somebody gets hired to do a book and they have a story they already want to tell, rather than, I'm talking about like jumping in on a Batman book or Green Lantern, whatever.
J.J. Abrams? Sorry.
A comic and telling a story they want to tell and forcing it to fit the existing narrative rather than tell a story that naturally fits. This writer, it feels like they had a story they wanted to tell and they forced it to fit into Doctor Who rather than tell a Doctor Who story that happened to have reflections of the cultural perspective they wanted to shine a lens on. That would be preferable. Just do that. But they came with an agenda. I have a story I want to tell, and I want to use Doctor Who to tell it. That's not a good way to do things.
But the other part of
it doesn't even tell the story, because it's that thing, and that's the most infuriating part, because there are so many cool things in this episode, but just because things are cool doesn't make an episode good. And that's the problem.
But that was salvageable, because the thing is, there was an opportunity in this season to plant the seed of something like this, and that was in the Christmas special, The Joy to the World, where he spent a year as a black man. He spent an entire year, and you could have explored that at any time during that to start to set the seeds for this is what he's experiencing life at when he's spending extended periods of time, particularly in that instance where he had to be in a place at one time. And the fact that you don't reference any of that in this episode, or even throughout the rest or the episodes that follow it, it's a missed opportunity. And that, to me, as a one-time editor, that falls on the editor or the showrunner.
Yeah, that's what I would say too. The thing is with Joy to the World, that was written because RTD wanted to focus on season 2. He asked Stephen Moffat to go ahead and make a Christmas special because he really wanted to sit down and focus on season 2. That's what Steven said anyway.
I think it was Joe who said it. So in a lot of ways, this kind of confirms there is no plan.
Yeah.
And that this finale is not going to pay off. And it's like, and honestly, only because I'd almost have to say I have to be a fool now if I get to the end of I get to the season finale and it totally is disappointing in every way. It's like I can't be surprised at this point if this season just ultimately was just like a lot. I think you got it right, Pixel. It's been, I think the reason why we're all like, oh, I want to like it, is because it's a lot of cool concepts, terrible execution. Cool concepts, but it's just these little things that keep happening throughout all these episodes where it's like, oh man, you were doing so well. You got the second base. What the hell? You ground out at third. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Chris, are you back there listening?
I'm back.
Okay, we want to hear your opinion on the story and the engine.
The story and the engine. Okay. When I first watched it, I thought it was okay. After the second time, I'm like, nope, I'm actually seeing problems now. This is probably, I don't know, like, I thought Lucky Day was okay. A lot of the messaging was a bit muddled. But I feel like this is probably the worst episode. It's not terrible. It's not awful. But it's one that, it could have been better. I feel like if the series was longer, if the episode was probably longer, so it was a bit fleshed out more, this could have worked. If there was definitely changes, this episode could have worked. Because there are things there that I like. I like the storytelling aspect. I like the whole stories on the window. And I love the art style. Then it gets a bit lazy when it's the Doctor telling it, oh, it's so real. It's so real, his stories now. It's like,
pictures are alive. Yes.
Like, come on. If you want to do that, I felt like it should have been like, it starts off with the style that we've already seen, but as more the Doctor talks about it, it transitions into real life, because then they say, oh, his stories are so powerful, it fully charged the engine. So the start where the intro plays in the window, I do like that. I don't like the straight zoom into it. That seems like very like I just learned how to use Adobe Premiere zooms. Again, it should have done with the art style, then it transitions to the normal Doctor Who theme. None of the characters are particularly that interesting. I kind of like the barber as the antagonist, but other than that, not much to him. The whole, when they get to the engine, there's just the random face that screams. This is a nitpick, but it's like, that's a thing. It's there. And the whole what was it? The whole story's leaking out because Poppy appears. One of the space babies appears. We don't know what that's about, but the Doctor's like, oh, stories are leaking out. And it's like, I felt like if stories were leaking out, that should have been a bit more in the episode, because that only happens the one time.
Yeah.
And it's not even like, and it's only used with Belinda. And as much as I like Belinda in this series, she has nothing in this episode. This is probably the worst we've had of Belinda throughout this entire series. Not counting, obviously, Lucky Day, where she's not really there. But in this one, she has kind of nothing to do. This could have been like a Belinda light episode. There was really no reason for Belinda to be in this episode, other than the fact it's like, well, we still have that whole running arc where they're traveling to places to get back to May 25th. 24th, yeah. Sorry, May 24th.
There's no real ambition to do it together.
No. And even at the start of the episode, we have to have a reminder. Doctor, you need to get me home. It's like, did we really need that reminder?
Mm-hmm.
Like that felt kind of pointless writing there. Mrs. Flood isn't as annoying in this one because I feel like Lucky Day is least intriguing because she's doing something, and it's like, why is she letting this Conrad guy out? Whereas every other time we've seen her, it's just like, oh, she's there, she's aware that she's breaking the fourth wall and all that. But in this one, she's like, oh, it's interesting. Like, what's she want with this Conrad guy that's kind of against the Doctor? Interesting. Yeah. And in this one, it's just like, she's just there. And I'm like, yeah, she's just in the background. They're not purposely focusing the camera on her to be like, guys, remember, she's the mystery box. She's the mystery. It's Mrs. Flood. She's just there to be like, I'm here to get pills. Like, I feel like if you're going to have the Mrs. Flood cameo, and it's not something to set up the big mystery at the end, just have it like that. Don't be the obvious of like, it's Mrs. Flood, guys. Remember, clap. And now the Fugitive Doctor stuff. When I saw it, I was like, oh my God, what the hell? Then afterwards, it's like, hang on. This doesn't make sense. The Doctor is not supposed to have those memories.
Yep.
Maybe quick flashes. Like the Doctor has a quick flash of like the timeless child looking up at that portal, but that's it. The Doctor does not know anything about pre-First Doctor.
Yeah.
Maybe if you have to count the Morbius Doctors, that's it.
That confirms Landry's agenda point, because the only reason she gets chosen is because she's the only other Black Doctor.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, the thing is, it's not even like Bina has met that Doctor and the Doctor doesn't know it. It's like the Doctor even recalls it because it's like, you have a different face now. I purposely lost the bet. Like, so the Doctor knows. The Doctor has memory of these events when he's not supposed to.
Yeah.
I've seen people use that as a defense for it. I think that's a huge cop-out. Because, like I said, the whole the stories are leaking out is barely in the episode until the end when Belinda mentions seeing a little girl. Like, that's it. So, yeah, the whole Future Doctor thing, if it was a visual metaphor, I think I would have been fine with that. She's seeing her Doctor, the one that she felt abandoned her or humiliated her. But it's the fact that Ncudi's Doctor, the 15th Doctor, remembers it is a huge problem. Because the whole thing at the end, despite how unsatisfactory it was, the end of the Timeless Child arc at the end of Flux is that the Doctor chooses not to get those memories back.
Unless I really, really ask.
Unless I really, really ask. So I'm going to assume at some point off screen, the Doctor is like, TARDIS, please give it to me. I really want them now. So
they had a great opportunity just to walk back they didn't even just never acknowledge it again. They even kind of explained it away as like it was the trickster playing tricks. But with the Doctor's timeline, great. Okay, so it's not the normal. It was an alteration in the Doctor's history, but I just don't want the fugitive.
Yeah, and so she's now once again, she is just the cameo Doctor.
Yeah,
that is all that she's reduced to. Jo Martin is great. I do kind of like, even though I don't like the Timeless Child, I do like her as the Fugitive Doctor. But she is now just the cameo Doctor. After Fugitive of the Judoon, next time she appears, Matrix projection, flashback, holograph projection, and now this one a visual metaphor.
I would be fine with her if like she was the next Doctor or something. And when we got 2 years, 3 years of adventures of her, I'd be pretty interested in that. I like her as a performer. This is not, her performances are actually pretty good. I like her overall bearing, her look. She has something that I did not get from Jodie, and I don't get from the current Doctor, is gravitas.
Yep.
Like a lot of the earlier Doctors have a lot of gravitas. These last two don't, but she's got it. She's got plenty of it, and that's something the Doctor needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unless the whole finale is called the Reality War, so unless they like rewrite it to then now she's actually the next Doctor, like she's just a cameo Doctor. I feel like if you're going to do something with her, do it. Do not just relegate her to just she will bring her in for people to be like, I clapped when I saw it.
I saw
because that's what
I should make a video about how nonsensical it all is, because I did go through Flux because there's a writing competition going on for the 13th Doctor. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and try, see if I can come up with something. I went through all of Flux again. The division, all that, it's so ridiculous. And I love Joe Martin's
and also the fact that it's just we're doing the CIA again, but on a grander scale.
But worse.
But they were the first one.
Yeah. So I did want to go ahead and also touch on, and I forgot, Abby. The fact that you go ahead, you're going ahead and giving us food, you're keeping us alive. She's also one of the people keeping you trapped, guys.
Yeah,
you don't bow to her at the end. Why are you doing this? The guy? Why don't you take my father's name? What? He literally imprisoned you. You were willing to sacrifice your alien friend to go ahead and get away from this guy. But you're going to go ahead and give him your father's name? Sure. Give him the barbershop, fine. But go ahead and give him your father's name too. And what is this? Why is this? God. Sorry.
That's the thing, like, the forgiveness in this episode is not, if you tweaked it, if you added more to it, it would be believable. It would work. The thing is, it doesn't. And I think it's because this is a short episode.
Yep.
The thing is, we are no longer like confined to the classic 40-minute episodes of Doctor Who. You can do longer now, especially with it being on Disney Plus. Now, granted, I would also say that Disney Plus has a problem of not being consistent with, like, this episode is 30 minutes, but this one will be an hour in a single series. And it's like, can you have like an actual fixed one? Because why is one half the length of the other one? So it's like,
is there also not a better way to tell your 6-word story? I'm born, I die, I'm born. Like, and the captions say I am born, which makes it
the subtitles are off. Yeah, it says I'm born, I die, I am born. It's like, that is 7 words. Whoever made those subtitles, or who, if that. Yeah. I'm pretty sure 15 does say I'm born, like the second time, but the subtitles say it wrong.
Yeah.
Well, then again, the title of this episode is The Story and the Engine, or The Story and the Engine. It's both versions of and.
Well,
so that's like,
just like
pick one.
Just like the execution of the story, the execution of the title also it sucks.
Yeah.
Sucks.
And also, I forgot this spider. Yeah, it coming out of the barbershop is stupid. It also does not make sense because the barbershop is in its realm. Because the barbershop they at least established the barbershop is in 2 places at the same time. It's both in Lagos and it is also on the spider on the ship in the Nexus. How did the spider get into the shop if it's attached to its back?
Yep.
How? And then because then after it fails to get out, it cuts to the spider being destroyed. And you see the shop on its back.
Yep. What a waste of money.
Russell, you not like, is the script editor just asleep for this entire era? I feel like the script editor just takes a nap and Russell just thinks, well, they've probably done their job. I told them to do it, and I'm guessing they did.
Yep.
I did not like this episode.
Well, for the future, we now have a contender. We can do a face-off of Rosa versus the story.
See, I feel like
listen.
I feel like Rose is more egregious because it's
this episode.
This episode has some interesting high concept stuff. I'll give it that. Strapped in the barber chair and forced to tell stories to feed a story engine right there. Oh, okay, you have my interest. Rosa, we've got to get Rosa Parks on the bus because she doesn't want to. What?
We have to be the racists.
We have to be the racist. I don't want to do this, dog.
I don't want to do this, doctor.
I love that. I love the
You're gonna do it. You're gonna like it.
I don't want to do this, dog. We gotta fly him into the dirt. No.
So I guess ratings. Landry, start us off.
Number
2.8. 2.8.
It's very specific, but I feel you.
Yeah.
Joe.
2.5. It's definitely it's got to be the worst and of this season, and there's a couple of others that are close, but boy, I was really trying to hold out hope, but now that the majority's out, it's turned into a stinker of a season. It's not great.
Gevain, you can have your asterisks if you want them.
You see, you got me there with the if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give 2 ratings here. So I'm gonna give. I gotta at least represent for the diaspora. So I gotta at least vote higher than the white people. So I'll go with a 3.
Fair.
But
What's your number? What do you give it?
A 3. But
Generous.
I have to officially go back and revise all of my scores for the episodes before this.
At the end of the season.
I'll keep them with the asterisks, but they got to go 5. It's if there is even a ray of light that they somehow pull this all together with the Reality War episode, because I may have to drop off them to like a 3. If this episode is any indication of basically, to Joe's point, the lack of direction or the lack of a plan, then it's like I for somebody to have these many great concepts, but in a lot of ways to just fail in the execution so hard, and especially all that on the nose, pointing out the theme of the story stuff, I would almost say all of these were 3s up until this point, based on that. And I like some of them. Yeah.
I think Lucky Day was my lowest of the season.
Yeah.
Listen, when you have to make me apologize to Pete, Amazon is the best thing ever, and all government should be trusted always. Mateague, you are making me question myself. It's so funny how I can go into these reviews and I'm like, okay, well, this was pretty good. This part was really good. And then all of the rough parts just come to the forefront, because this is a 2.5. It's not a 3. I wanted to go 3. I can't, because there's just so many wrong things. How can you do so many things wrong? It's frustrating. It's frustrating. That's what it is. Chris.
So I'm going to start off with saying I'm going to revise my score of Lucky Day. I gave it a 6. Thinking back on it, and also I've watched a few other people's reviews, and I try not to have my opinion skewed by other people's thoughts. But like watching other reviews and they're pointing stuff that I kind of like glazed over or missed out, I'm like, yeah, Lucky Day's messaging just isn't good. Like it's like, yeah, we know like they're grifters on the internet and they're terrible and they'll manipulate people, but it's like Pete McTighe just does all these messages and they all fall flat because he's not really doing anything with them. Granted, I'm still gonna say that, agree with my thoughts last week, that it's still a lot better than Robot Revolution's messaging, because it had 2 different messages and did nothing. It just, they're there. AI. Oh no, AI. It's AI. And incels. It's like, yeah, and that they're bad, yes, but
and incel
what
that
else?
begged for help, and then they laughed at his doom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So lucky day. I gave that a 6. I'm probably gonna bring that down to a 5.
Yeah.
Because there's still some stuff I liked in that episode. Story in the engine, though, I'm gonna give it a 3.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot more stuff that I liked in Lucky Day. Some concepts I liked, but just at the overall, it squandered them. It just. This is a it needed to be revised. It needed to be revised. It needed to be longer so that the revisions could be fleshed out a bit more. Because it's there. The groundworks of it are there for it to work. It's just not executed well.
Yeah.
Now,
the writer was failed by the showrunner.
Yeah.
The writer.
And then also other stuff that was pointed out here, like Joe pointing out about how, Nigeria is not really okay with the LGBTQ. So it's like,
one place the doctor feels at home.
It's like, like thinking about it now, the doctor thinking, I feel right at home here in Nigeria.
All the barbers in the world. You had to walk into that.
But then again, the doctor's always had these weird little inconsistencies. I remember apparently like one of the doctors was like friends with Mao, and it's like, why would you? I don't know who wrote that, but okay, sure. And remember, the doctor's best friends with Winston Churchill, and Churchill wasn't perfect.
No,
he definitely wasn't perfect.
A little away from some of the major political figures,
Yeah, maybe I think. Unless you want to tackle the subject to be like, I want to criticize this.
Well, that's just it. Pick what kind of show you are. If you want to be a show that is social and political commentary, there does come point like, do it or don't do it if you aren't going to actually embrace it. And it's one thing when you got 22 episodes or even 16 episodes a season, but when you have 8, you have to be a lot more judicious. I have 2 different books I'm writing now, stories, really. I just finished a 58,000 word novella and a 4,000 word short story, which actually I got to take 500 words out. Let me tell you, 500 words out of a 4,000 word story hurts. But I'm not going to try to tell the same kind of story. There's different style of writing for each. You have to tailor your craft for the format. And the format of this is 8 episodes. Don't try to do these episodes that you can't possibly give the proper currency to. You can't, so don't. And everyone involved in this, at least on an executive level, should have enough basic understanding to go, this is not the kind of show episode. You don't do this kind of episode when you only have 8 episodes. You do this kind of episode like when you got 24. Then you can do it. Maybe you take 2 or 3 episodes in a row and you play with it and you explore it. This isn't it. And they should know better.
Yeah. Especially when we haven't really seen it with this doctor. Yeah, like at the end of Dot and Bubble, he finds out they're all racist and they don't want to let him save them because of this color of his skin. Yeah, that works. The thing is, that's not on Earth.
Yeah. And it worked because it was a twist. It didn't have to spend the whole time explaining it. Living it.
If you look back on it, you can kind of see like the little like clues of like, oh, like she doesn't want to talk with the doctor, but she's fine with talking with Ruby.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, maybe we should, we'll trust him for now, I guess. And like,
boys, we should trust.
Yeah, it blocks the doctor multiple times, but when Ruby talks, listens to her.
Are you 2 in the same room together?
Yeah, are you in the same room together? Yeah, and then the twist at the end when it's the full reveal of like, oh, they're all racist. So it's like that hurts the doctor because he hasn't had that happen to him before.
Right.
But the thing is, like him mentioning like in this episode, this is the first time I've been in this black body, and it's like, okay, first, that would be true if the episode also then says that you have the fugitive doctor's memories. So not the first black body. Even if you didn't have the fugitive doctor's memories, you've met the fugitive doctor. You know the fugitive doctor is one of your past selves. So if you want to be nitpicky, this is the first time you've been in a black body that you remember.
Yeah.
That you actually remember.
And know your audience, because we are.
There's now places that treat me differently, and it's like
we haven't treated differently here.
Yeah, we haven't seen that. Even in Rogue, I love that episode. It's great. I don't think they'd be okay with some non-white people being there during that time.
I
don't know.
That, but having the two men dancing together.
Yeah, it's like we have these things, like these instances happen, but the problem is they're not explored to where this personally now affects the Doctor, because it hasn't been a problem for him before, as just primarily as a white person. Hasn't happened to him before, but now that he's experiencing life through different skin color, different body, it doesn't work. The thing is, like I said, the groundwork is there. They just don't execute it properly.
Also, when the Doctor goes ahead, most of his lives, when he appears throughout even history, what does he come into the scene with? Does he normally change his clothes? No.
That's bugs
already something that he stands out. I like that Shooty goes ahead and he has different costumes every episode. I like that about this Doctor. But the fact that he does that to go ahead and fit into a time and then does not fit into that time at all, it's one of those things. They go ahead and they don't want to commit. They don't want to commit. And you know what? I've talked about this before. They did something similar with Jodie. They made the Doctor a woman and then did nothing with that. The most they did was Witchfinders, and that's nothing. It's nothing. At least we got more Alan Cumming in that episode. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, because as Landry said, this is a thing where you have a writer who doesn't know Doctor Who. They force an agenda into it. I mean, it could also be either this is alternatively or part of this as well, is that given the writer's background and the fact that they're on Doctor Who, they don't feel like, if they're an artist, they don't feel like they should have to be hampered by continuity. They should feel like they should be able to tell whatever story they want to tell. And the problem with that is, as I think Harlan Ellison pointed out at one time when he came to Star Trek, is that, look, dude, this is the job. This is the assignment. You're writing this for a specific audience. The audience is going to go, wait a minute now, because they've invested a whole season into this. There's a whole storyline behind this that basically the story that you're telling negates or confuses that prior storytelling. And if you don't want to do continuity storytelling, guess what? Don't write Doctor Who.
And the fact that you don't have somebody behind the scenes even looking at these scripts, because that's what it must be. Nobody's looking at any of these scripts. They're just taking them.
It's supposed to be Russell. If it's not, who is it? Scott Hancock.
I'm sure they're looking. I'm sure they're looking at the scripts. I want to be clear. I'm sure they're looking at scripts, but they're looking at the wrong thing, the wrong perspective, the wrong expectation, the wrong issues. They're not looking at the scripts for what they should be looking at it. They're looking and seeing, and having the story, having a message in your story, having your story be about something is really important. It's a really good thing. But there's no subtlety, there's no nuance to it.
There you go. Yep.
Like it's all just so deeply ham-fisted, and there's no need for that.
Don Bubble leaves you breadcrumbs from the beginning of the episode. That by the time you get to the end, it's like it's not a surprise. So in other words, you're supposed to be a little bit ahead of the audience. not so far ahead of the audience.
It's a surprise that the character of Lindsay is now very open about it.
It's very open about it because before and that also is a part of like how that kind of quote unquote racism can work. It's like, hey, when me and Lindsay hang out together, man, it's like, you know, it's not like I'm a black guy and she's a white girl and all this and that. We're cool. But the minute she gets around her friends, which you can read that as a black-white thing, but you can also read that as a rich-poor thing. You know, your side of the town, my side of the town, west side, east side thing. There's so many different ways you can read it. That the minute she gets around her people, now she wants to switch up. Because now it's like, it's not that you're not cool and I don't get what you're saying and I wouldn't want to go with you, but it's like, not in front of my people though.
It is,
and they're working so many levels.
It is sad when you have an episode that features a character called Dr. P be better than this.
God, but Dot and Bubble was really good.
Dot and Bubble was fantastic.
Yep.
Dot and Bubble was great. And you know what? I actually, and my opinion doesn't matter, but I think that handled that subject a lot better than anything else that we've had in Doctor Who.
Yep.
Okay.
And also, I'd say, going back to the whole, like, is Russell and the script editor not looking at these scripts? Yeah, I feel like, yeah, they are, but they're thinking, oh, that has messaging, that works. They want to talk about this, that works. Because this is coming from the same person that wrote the Star Beast, and the messaging in that is not good. It's like, yeah, we get that these are issues you care about, and they are issues that should be talked about and brought to the forefront. You're not the right person to talk about them, though.
It's really
Russell. The whole you can't write in your episode that the Doctor now identifies as non-binary. Gender doesn't mean anything to the Doctor because an hour ago he was a woman, something he'd had an experience before.
A brilliant woman.
And now he's back to being a man, and it's like, well, I've been both. Like, I've been both genders now. It's nothing to me. I'm neither. I'm the Doctor. But then at the end of the episode, have Rose. Well, you wouldn't understand this because you're a male presenting Time Lord. It's like, what is it, Russell?
Yeah.
What is it? You can't.
Yeah,
you can't have one thing and you can't have the other as well. You can't have both.
So why is this such why are these stories, these episodes coming across as so uneven? It's like they seem to be so all over the place for no reason other than, if I was looking at it from the outside, it just comes off as incompetent. It just comes off as incompetence.
I feel like it's just Russell just does, aside from maybe a few episodes, he just doesn't have it in him anymore. Yeah, we don't have, and the thing is, like, the eras are different. I don't think you can replicate that time of 2005 again.
Part of the problem, Russell wrote a really great Doctor Who because it had a specific hook. That's what made it good. That hook was, we don't know anything about this weird, mysterious dude in the blue box. Rose is the audience vehicle. It was a show about Rose. That was the show. It was the Rose show, encountering a mysterious man in a blue box. And we slowly learn who and what he is through her. And that we got about 2 seasons where we're like learning this more and more. We didn't get glimpses of his other lives and anything for way into this new series.
Oh yeah.
They took their time with it. And he was a mystery. After about 3rd to 4th season, they started shifting the focus into it's about the Doctor. It's about the Doctor. And he became the central character. He has no mystery anymore. It's gone. And then that's why I've been saying for the whole time, if Russell wants to recapture, he needs to do some kind of thematic reboot. If not a literal reboot, something where we see it again from an outside perspective. Put the Doctor back in a state of mystery. Make the character an unknown. And Russell was also really smart by giving the audience something new with the character with the Time War. Oh, he's the last time. So we, the old watchers like myself, we had something new to go, what is going on here? Why is it all different? That was so well done. But that doesn't mean the episodes were necessarily great. He had a good approach. There's no strong approach right now. The approach is this is still the Doctor. That's it. That's the whole thing now.
Yeah. And it's not working in this era because one, they can't decide, is this a jumping on point or is this just continuing the show? Because it's like, it's season 1. Oh no, it's also series 14. It's season 2. Oh, so it's also series 15. It's like, oh, don't worry, it's a jumping on point. New people can jump on. It'll be fine. But it's like, oh no, the villain at the end of the series hasn't been in the show for 40 years. And also, you would need the context of the 60th anniversary specials to jump into this. And you want the context of the 60th anniversary special, go watch every series 1 to 13. Because you're not going to get it. It doesn't work. And the thing is, thinking about it, Russell could have done the whole, like, we don't know who the Doctor is anymore. The whole mystery of Doctor Who. Like, if the Timeless Child arc didn't just have a very just piss poor ending, where it was just the Tecteun is dead, and the Doctor's like, well, I have it. I have my memories, but given to me if I want them. I don't need them now. Like, you can, and that's what it felt like Russell was trying to do at, like, in Church of Ruby Road, where it's like, oh, I'm also a foundling. Like, I don't know who my parents really are. Who am I? And having that connection with Ruby, it felt like he was trying to do that, but then it just went away.
Yeah.
Then it's just like, okay, I've got to go back to doing this is just a continuation. We're just continuing Doctor Who. This is the Doctor, not Doctor Who.
If you tweak your voice just a little bit, you almost sound like him in an interview because I was just listening. We're just continuing. Absolutely. Just more Doctor Who. More the same.
I'm going to have 20 spin-offs. The first one will be about the Sea Devils.
Why? I have to say this. The ultimate fail, I feel. The ultimate fail with the whole push of the rebrand. I understand you don't want to take away from the main show, but the fact that you go ahead and you establish, oh, we're going to do a universe. There's going to be so many things going on. And then we have gotten nothing. We've got
nothing.
And the War Between coming out. But you could have done an 8th Doctor miniseries. That would have brought people, especially your fans. And then you could go ahead and shift the focus of the main series to be a jumping on point while also satisfying old fans. What is wrong with you? Okay. It's fine.
I think and then this could also just be because, well, he's getting the Disney backing, so he needs to entice the execs. So I think it is. I think Landry, I think you mentioned this some time ago. He has to make these big promises. He has to be like, I'm going to bring Doctor Who. We're going to have all these shows. You're going to get all this attention, possibly all this money as well. But
it's going to be big again.
We're going to call it the Whoniverse because that's the big thing. You have the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You have the Disney. You have the Star Wars universe. Now you can have the Doctor Who universe, the Whoniverse, and it's like all we've had is the show still continuing, and a spin-off that isn't out yet.
And also make sure that if you're going to reference watching everything through Endgame with the MCU, that you are exactly in 2019. I don't want to hear that you missed any Marvel content.
That felt so like, well, we're on Disney now. We have to make a Disney reference.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? We're in it feels like we're in such a perilous place. And I shouldn't be feeling this way. I should not. You go ahead and you promise, well, we're not going to have gap years anymore. We're going to have Doctor Who every single year. There's no season 3 promise yet. We might get it at the end of this season, but there's been no official word. And that is not, like, even at the end when I'm sure that Doctor Who is not going away because it's still...
Why?
Britain, it's still one of their most popular television shows. Of course, if you watch other British content, you know why it's still one of the biggest, because it's still one of the best going on. I love a lot of British shows, but the Doctor Who is definitely my favorite amongst them.
No, it's great. I've been going through Poirot recently.
Yeah.
That's going on right now.
Yeah, it's fine. I was trying to relate to you, Pixel. I'm sorry.
I love. God, his performance is so great.
It really is.
I really am just so disappointed, and I shouldn't be this disappointed. I was so hyped.
Don't worry, we've got Eurovision this week, Pixel. Everyone loves Eurovision.
You know what, though? The trailer actually looks like it's going to have something a little more exciting than I was expecting. And I just saw a little bit that describes this episode between Eurovision and Die Hard. And now that goes ahead. Catches my fancy a little bit, you know?
In other words, it's the Fifth Element.
Yeah, motherfuckers. Luther? Yeah, no, Luther.
Oh, yeah, Luther's great.
Is that still going on? Did they have a movie? I think that's what it is. Or,
Yeah, they did. I think
that's on
Netflix,
right? That's a Netflix original.
probably.
So just to go back to something you said, the highest rate. I mean, the ratings are down. They're precipitous. I'm looking at the UK ratings right now. The week plus with 4-screen, all that. The full ratings we get for episode 1 is all in now at 3.57 million. You know, this is lower than all but one of the last season.
But it's still like you'll see, it says like third most watched for the UK.
On what? Just that day, or like maybe it's just not up against anything good. That if in general, this is not. These are not healthy numbers.
Actually, isn't it going? It's going against Strictly. What is it? Strictly. I can't remember the full name. I don't watch it. Strictly Come Dancing, something like that, which is like their most popular dancing competition over there. Do you think it was? Well, no, but you know, it's.
My only point is, I have already, like you say, it's not going anywhere. I've seen it go somewhere once before. Doctor Who is not a guarantee. There's no promise it will be here next year. I don't think anyone should take that as a given. It's
the war between is the death of Doctor Who. I do not look forward to the rest of my life. Put so much time. I wrote the other day on Discord. Somebody said, "How dare somebody not go ahead and sacrifice their soul to Doctor Who?" I said, "Yeah, I've already done it, and I don't even get paid."
It's true.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our show. We've been talking for an hour and a half about an episode that wasn't particularly good. We want to ask people to like, comment, and subscribe. We will be back next week. Chris won't be, though. Chris, you got to send something for us to read, and we'll all try our best.
Yeah, well,
yes.
I'll still be able to watch this week's episode before I leave. So, yeah, I'll just say something like, "Wow, we're so back," or "Oh, no."
I really hope we're so back. I really hope we're so back.
I don't know. It's a Eurovision themed episode. I could not give a shit about Eurovision. I know the British do, but I don't. And even Australia isn't Eurovision, which I still to this day am baffled because we're not in Europe.
That is true. You are not in Europe.
So I don't know why we're there. Get us out of there, please.
Anyway.
Ooh.
So yes, you will have our reviews next week for the
The Interstellar Song Contest.
Yeah, what a title. Let's hope. See you next week. Goodbye, everybody. Alonze.
Bye.